Hey Karu, this is a real quick voiceover of a bunch of drone footage that I've shot over the last few days, the last 2 days actually. So yesterday, I woke up a little late and I noticed it was sunny as I came out of the bedroom, and it was like 7:30 in the morning, and I said to Sarah, we got to go out to Unaslanduin today because this is the first really nice day we've had. And so we rapidly threw everything together and jumped out and drove out, and we actually got to the beach at about 8:15. And Unaslanduin is a tidal island, and as we were walking out from the beach to the island, I said, hey, or Sarah said, we should check the tide tables, and it turns out high tide was at 9. And we actually got to the crossing here that you see right at 9 or 9:05. And so initially I started just flying the drone out there because there was nobody around. And while I was initially flying the drone out over the island, Sarah said, we just ought to take off our shoes and walk across, which is, of course, what we did. So it was great. So we got out there and we ended up on the island for an hour before the tide dropped to the point where people could cross, and nobody else came over. And so we walked around out there and just had a really lovely morning. And obviously I tested out the drone because there was no one else around, and there's a lighthouse out on the end of the island here. And then there's also the ruins of a church, which you'll see here in a minute. Actually, I was working on having the drone follow us, and I still haven't figured out how to make it do what I want. What I really want it to do is run parallel to us and track us, or else stay in front of us and back up as we walk towards it. And I know there's a way to do it, and I looked it up when I first got the drone, and I've forgotten how to do it, and I keep on trying to figure it out in the settings, and I just need to actually look it up again. So the other thing on the island that's of interest is that this is the ruins of a church, and Llanddwyn is essentially the Valentine's, Saint Valentine's for the Welsh. And she has a story about, she's a saint, she has a story about, how she was wronged by someone she loved, and there was a star-crossed thing, so she's now the saint for star-crossed lovers. So anyway, we spent our nice time out there poking around the ruins and walking the trail all the way around the island. And as we got back to the beach here, I mean, this was shot when we first got there, so the tide's still in. But as we literally got right back to this beach part here, somebody was crossing just as we walked down there. So we had the island to ourselves this entire time. It was awesome. So we had a great morning. And the next day, that would be today, we knew the weather was supposed to be good again. So we thought we'd go do one of our favorite walks, which is a walk from Penmaen Mawr to the church of Llangollen. And so we actually worked on shooting a video where Sarah's talking about early Christianity in Wales during the first part of our walk. And I didn't use the drone during that, so I took a lot of B-roll drone footage of us walking so I could cut it in while she's talking about early Christianity. But as you can see, it was another glorious day. We were aiming to be there a little before sunrise. We ended up getting there right at sunrise, that trailhead. So as we walked, the sun came up, and it was still, and it was gorgeous. And you walk up over from one side of the hills to the other, so you have to cross over a little pass there, which is that footage that you just saw of the drone flying. And then you walk kind of parallel to the ridge line, and we follow these walls, which you'll see here, I think, in this next shot. Yeah. And so we walked all the way down, and we got to the church, And when we got to the church, Sarah went inside and I was outside. Or actually, I took drone shots first, which you'll see here once we get there. And then Sarah went inside and she was saying some prayers, and I was outside and I was taking pictures, and all of a sudden I heard a noise behind me, and I turned around, there's a guy coming in the gate of the churchyard with his dog, and he was, of course, surprised to see me early in the morning there. He was super friendly, and it turns out he lives nearby, and he's a lay reader in the church, and he basically walks up to the church every day to make sure everything's okay and check in on it. And so he's kind of the guy, or one of the guys, who keeps it open and accessible to the public, which is really cool. So we ended up having a really nice half-hour chat with him, and he told us a lot of kind of cool background information about the church. And they're having an Easter service, which would be fun to go to, but unfortunately we're going to be in South Wales for Easter Sunday. Yeah, so we got to meet him, and I'm actually, while I had the drone up, not only did I take, obviously, this aerial footage, but I took a lot of pictures, and so I sent him a link to the pictures today. We got his email address, since he takes care of the church. And Llangollen, I know you know this, Carew, but we've been there a bunch of times, but it's one of the oldest remaining churches in Wales, and it's just really a lovely little spot up in the mountains, these remote places where there used to be a pilgrim's path that went by here. Actually, the path still goes by here, the North Wales Pilgrim Way, but there used to be a inn next to the church. So that's my drone footage. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.